On page Taf Resh, I think that's a Mem Vav. Boy. Okay, so we're on the left column. We just did Kaf Gimel yesterday, I believe, and now we're looking at the left column, and it says Amnam b'maskanas Arizal b'mabusharim. He says. So first of all, what is the question we're talking about? We're talking about the 8th Tikkun. And there's some words in the 8th Tikkun that are, well, particularly we're going to see it right now. Near the Ha'iger hu koloshan ashlishi hanal, shenimshek ad Tibura halev, or Tibura de liba. Shuhu bechetzi teferes, which is in the middle between the lower shlish and the upper shlish, the Erik Anpin. And it is definitely not, or he says it's not, the Tibura or the goof that we've been talking about, Shuhu b'self, Beish Shlishi Teferis, which is at the end of the 2/3 of Teferis. We'll go along, we're going to see this later on in the name of the Eitz Chaim. This is what they say in Idris Rabbah, Ad Tibura. When they say Ad Tibura, that's what they mean. And this is written over there in the Mabusharim Sham. B'sel L'shona, he says, V'hine, Elo Hasa'aras Ruchim Ma'od, they're very, very long. V'nimshachim Nebegiyim Ad Tibura, the Tibura de Erik Anpin. Ad Chetzich Ad Teferes Shalom, until it reaches half of his Teferes. So here we see, there you go, there it is. Hisham Haschalas Resha de Zer Anpin, which I find a little bit of a problem because I thought the Resha de Zer Anpin was at the Mamish Tibur. Now, see, he's getting me. He says this is the Tibur de Liba, or someplace in the middle instead of down at the bottom. Ad Khan. So maybe I'm confused. So let's say here what is that actually saying? That's what it said. The Haina Tibura de Liba. V'im calls that with all of this Nikra Gam Kain Tibura Stama. But even so, they just use the word Tibura. V'gam yesh the yashech of the masha kasa b'sifra d'tzniut. Now again, you know, for me, I'm thinking that when it said Tibur, it meant Tibur. Now he's saying, I'm not. In other words, word is what I meant to say is, where do you see the location of the head of Zer Anpin? And my understanding was that it was at the Tibur of Erik Anpin, and you had Abba V'Ima coming down, at a different place up to that level. But here he's telling us that Tibur doesn't necessarily mean that. I don't know if it applies to everything or just to where we're at now. Kam ad liba. So kan we have ad liba. The Ritzon Lomar, where are we? He's ad Tibura de liba. Gamosh Bira became Bira Gra. He says kan. He says, what's a Gra say? Bagor. He says on the side over there. He says Talia ad liba, that it hangs down to the liba. Now here's a different one. Over there, that's actually the lashon over there. Tzarech lomar, but you really need to be saying, let's see. Tali b'shikula ad Tibur. There we are. Tzarech lomer ad Tibur de liber ad kan. U'ma'atach b'nimtzes the kol shlosha nischol sanal. Every time we have which are what ad liba, ad Tibura de liba. So he says that the truth is, and it seems like the Sifra Tzniut is kind of like the bottom line. I mean, there's lots of different languages, but over here they zero in, and he said Tibura de liba kol echad. They're all really one idea. Haina Tibura de liba. That is, it is talking about the Tibura de liba. Ki Tibura de liba the pamim nikra rak Tibura, upamim nikra rak liba. That's really saying one thing, ka'ambar v'asi shafir, and then everything works out. You can make sense out of all of it. Okay, going on, he says, V'hine, mashin is bar b'divrich ha'mabusharim. Tibur halev, who bechetzi hateferes, it's half a teferes canal. Kamavur be'etz chaim is explained over there. V'zel l'shona b'bir Tibur de liba, who hashat teferes the Erik Anpin nikra lev. It's called a heart. So the Tibura is called by that name. So it wants to say that the Tibur is called by the name heart. Now, exactly, let's get really mixed up here. V'nekudas mechatzitza v'nekrach Tibura deliva, and the what? V'nekudas machsisa, and the point, I guess he means to say, of where its halfway point is called the Tibura deliba. Now let me check above the language. He says, Bir Tibura deliba who shetiferes derek anpen nikro lave. He says the Tiferes of Eric Anpen is called the heart. Okay, so that we'll see something on that. He says why? Because the word Tibura, he said the gufa, who besof be shlishim shal Tiferes, is at the end of 2/3 of Tiferes ad kan. Who ba'od makomos, there's other places that we see the same use of how the word is used. Etc. Now let's see if we can get down and see this well. This would be number Kaf Daled, which is at the bottom, the very bottom of the first page. And he says, Rei B'Sefer Kerem Shlomo. Well, it's been a long time we've heard that name. The Kerem Shlomo La'etz Chaim Shechem Shabir B'Zecha Losha. This is what he says, Ki Yedua, Ki Pirish Tibor, Hu Chetzi Shel Osadavar. Tibor always means half. Is that true? The Tibor always means half of the thing you're talking about. When you say it goes down to the Tibor, it means half of the area that you're talking about. Now, Kamosha Amarna al Yerushalayim, excuse me. Shehi is where it talks about Yerushalayim, and what does it say? The Shehi Tibor Ha'olam, which it says it's the Tibor of the world. Here it kind of means like right in the center. V'lechem haguf shuhu Tiferes, or the guf which is Tiferes, hu shi'urach min hagaron ad haschalas yisod, is the air. Let's say this is the location of Tiferes, from the neck. Let's see, from the bottom of the neck until you get to the yisod. V'kol b'zecha v'nikra b'shem Tiferes, v'shem guf. But sometimes you call that whole area, he's talking about once, now he's saying that Tiferes is, another word for Tiferes is lave. Now you see this word lave in different places, and he's actually, this is a definition, or, I guess we're going to go with it. Which is the most precious part, Hamislav which is also clothed in that area which is called the. So it sounds like he was saying that the general area where the heart is located is also the Tibur, but not specifically in the upper shlish, but in the middle. V'lechein ad shir chetzech Tiferes nikra Tibura the liba. So then, therefore, since Tiferes is called lave, and since Tiferes is the place of the heart, so therefore, I guess it's a general kind of location. Now we have another one here, number coming up here. This went on the phrase, which was up above. He had said, Ki Tibura libo hu besof be shlishim shel Tiferes adkan v'chein ku ba'od mekomos. And there are other places where we see the same lashon. So let's look down below, and let's see, we have another Kaf Hey here. And number Kaf Hey says, Rei Gam Be'etz Chaim, look over there too. Came Idra Rabbah, where it says over there in regards to the Idra Rabbah. Besel the Shona Dikna, the beard. There it is, the words again. And he said, this is actually the words of the Eitz Chaim, Sham B'Dilug. And he gives a side reference there. Adkan ki dikna talia ad Tibura deliba, because that, okay, that's the words. Lo kumasaguf. I'm not sure exactly what he means here. Nira sheyesh lo kumasaguf. I guess you're standing up. Which is half of the Tiferes. Shalo maskil misham. So Misham Sod Resha Dezer Anpin, and that's another one. Says once again that the Resha Dezer Anpin is at the Tibur, but the Tibura the Liba. So some of the places. So first of all, we're getting the idea that anytime it says the word Tibur, that it's really referring to Tibura the Liba. And if it says that the Zer Anpin, the location of Zer Anpin, is at the Tibur, it seems to me that he's saying that this is not talking about the Tibur Mamish, it's talking about the Tibur the Liba. That's what it sounds like to me. And we have a different definition for the word Tibur. Okay, let's go to the next piece and see how this is going. He says, Mihu, at any case, Yesh Shemura Nosefes B'Divrei Rizal. There's something different here. Shetibura the Liba Hu Makom Achazis really refers to the place of the chest. Now the chest is in the upper shlish. Shehu b'shlish rishon the Tiferes. Ki mevur b'shlosha abelosha the Eitz Chaim. We get it over there. Upri Eitz Chaim also that. The Tibura the Liba Hu b'makom achazri Ayin Sham is in the place of the chest. So what's playing? V'chein b'bura b'shar mamari Rashbi also there. U'makom achazar b'bura b'shlish rishon the Tiferes the Isa b'Eitz Chaim. We have it over there, and he says Sharlam and Hey. V'efsher the zechos sfekas shar mamari Rashbi. This is maybe the doubts that they had over there in the Maimari Rashbi. B'Sifra the tziniuta kana now. Shekasa v'zech l'shona ad Tibura the Liba, that language, and I don't know what it is, v'tzarach iyun. And he said, leaves it like that. Ad kan. Hainu, sheniz stafek. He was stafek b'bei Shemuel's elu, so it's really not sure. This is Mabusharim, I think he's talking about. V'im Tibura the Liba, hu b'chetze Tiferes, k'shmua rishona, or b'shlish rishon the Tiferes, k'shmua shnia. So wait a minute, this is not going down to the belly button that we normally think of, which is at the beginning of the lower shlish. But here's an argument whether you're talking about the chest or you're talking about the Tibur the Liba, or the halfway point. So we now have another kaf vav on this, and let's see what it says. He says, Kavar, here we go. Let me see a little bit more. Okay. Kavar Ahmed B'Stiris Hashmuas Eila. So now that we have a contradiction, he said B'Sefer Shem and Sason, he gets into that, Ala Eitz Chaim, and what does he write? He said B'Yayin the Rekach, also Ala Idra Rabbah. Ha'arich B'Yishuv Hastiro. So he spent some time going through this, and he says Ayin Sham. Of the Sifra of a base Lechem Yehuda also, there's the old Belchi again, Al Eitz Chaim, he says, Hevi Hatiratz Bekitzer V'zel L'shona. So he brought this in a short form, and he says like this, Ki HaNeked Shebechaza. Now let's go back to this thought, this thought here. And it's still never been completely clear to me how this works, but let's see if we get something out of this. He says the Nekev Shebechaza, the Nekev, the hole that we find in the chest, where the shefa goes through over to the nukva, that hole itself is called the Tibura the Liba. And where does it begin? It begins right below the chest. I guess maybe he means that's where he. Let's just say that. That's what he says. He says, let's see if I lost the place. And it stops in the middle of Tiferes. Masha Kosav Bazel Deshon, what he calls of the Tibura the Liba, who Bechaza, where it says it's in the chest. Hakavana al Yono Shel Chalo HaNekev. It's talking about, he's saying that the Nekev is not just a little pinprick, but it actually has some length to it. So he says, Al-Gavana al-El-Yona shal Chalo HaNekev, it's the upper part of the Chalo HaNekev, Kim Bisham Ku Maskil. And that's where it begins, and Masha Kosta B'Makom Acher, and what we're saying in another place. Shuhu B'Pechetz Tiferes. What's that all about? Gavana al-Siyam Chalo HaNekev. It's talking about, when it says like that, the Hetzi, it's talking about the bottom of the opening. So this opening is pretty big. So he says that it goes down, so wherever that middle part, in other words, goes from the bottom of the chest down to the middle of the chest, middle of Tiferes. Omisham b'makom acher shuhu b'pechetz Tiferes hagavana al siyam chalach on nekev. So there it's talking about the end of the opening of the nekev. Ad kan v'ayin sham b'beis lachem Yehuda shekasav od yishuv b'zedi gets into it more. Okay, so we still have more time. I thought I didn't really prepare it very well, so let's read it and let's see if we can find something we can work on. So he said, "V'da od the sheet is a grua. He kishmua shnia." It's like the second one. I'm getting lost of which one is which. Hanal shetibura deliba. What does tibura deliba mean? Ha'amor kan hu b'makam achaza, in the place of the chest. The Grua brings this out over there. Le'el perik aleph. He says, "Ayin sham." Hated. He said, "B'ha'aros lebir ha'meshulav lefi ha'grua kan," according to the Grua that we have here. Okay, so we have another shot. Let's see if there's anything at Kaf Zion. Kaf Zion. He says. V'halom ri'ino. So what is it, v'halom? V'halom ri'ino b'sefer l'shem shavu v'achlabal. That sefer over there, which is harech b'kol ze ayin sham. Okay, there's nothing there yet. Okay, going on. Now we're looking for number kaf ches, and let's move on a little bit more. He says, Tikkun Tashiyah, the ninth, we already with the ninth Tikkun. I'm sorry, I didn't really get that far. Let's go over, we have a few minutes though. So let's go over and look at the ninth Tikkun. So on page Kuf Pei Hey, let me bring this back up. On number Kuf Pei Hey, we have, at the bottom it says Tashiyah, the ninth Tikkun. In the Salian, now let's just, before we get into that, let's just a little review of this. There's three possible ideas that you have going on with this concept of Tibura Deliba. And the last one that we were left with is the concept that it has, that the opening in the chest has some length to it, and the length reaches to the middle of the Tiferes. So that's okay, that's where we got to, and we have three different ideas of what it could possibly mean. So next one here is Tibura Deliba. Tishia. He's a inun de salian. These are referred to hairs at salian. Lo nafkin do min do, and they all sounds like they're all tangled up. Lo nafkin do b'da. I'm not sure what he means by that. Let's find out. So he says like this. The blurb, our little blurb here. And he says, "Acha shebir makom tikkun hashmini, yivoyer ata seder umakom tikkun hadashi, shuhas aros shebein shnei hamazlo." So he says that you mazel on the top and a mazel on the bottom, but in between there's a lot of hair. V'hu tikkun shenikra v'tashli b'betzulas yav. He said it into the depth of the sea. He'll set it in the depth of the sea. Kol chataos chatam, all of their chatasim, all of their sins. Mitzad piminiyuso v'nikra l'olofim mitzad kitzuniyoso. There's a little ayin ches on that. Okay, so let's go on. And it's going to say like this. We're going to say like this. Tishiyah, the sin. Saros Tikkun Hadashi, the digna de Eric Anpin that refer to the digna of Eric Anpin. In the Salian, these are the hairs. The Salian, Heim Osam Asaros Hakatanim, Hataluyim Bein Saaros Shnei Hamazlos. That's what we said. V'ha'inyan Huki Bein Mazal Elyon Shuhu Chetzi Ovi Saaros. Which would be Chazaras Zakan, L'tzad upon him until towards the face, and then going outwards towards the face, or going which way L'tzad upon him, which I'm not sure what that means exactly. Maybe it means towards on the inside. Bebein Mazel L'tachtan, no, it meant the outside. Shuhu Chetzi Over Sa'aros Zakan L'tzad Aguf, which is half half of the hairs down to the other half of the thickness. Somchim sa'aros katanim katsarim. There are little short, small hairs in between these two mazlos. Hamuvloyim bebein sa'aros aruchim shel shnecha mazlos, which is surrounded or swallowed up in that space. So Yisach v'hine af shesa'aros hakatanim muvloyim umurover bebein sa'aros amazlos, and even though since it is really swallowed up in there and mixed into them, into these two mazlos, haruchim, lo nafka da min da, they don't go out one from another. What does that mean? What does that mean, that phrase? But they don't get tangled in there. I translate the opposite. They don't go broadwise. And they don't get mixed up and tangled in to the other hair that is the hairs of the mazlos, of the 8 and the 13. But they go straight down towards the bottom because of the strength, I guess, I read it wrong. Like the long ones, they just keep going straight down, but they're short and they're small. So you find out like this, that the tips of the Sa'aras HaKatzarim yotzim b'chutz the shuras Sa'aras HaRuchim, so it doesn't come and get tangled up in all the rest of that. And we'll stop here for today, and we'll pick it up with God's help tomorrow. Let me make a little note here.